Happy Monday. I just wanted to pop in. I was not here last Monday because I was at a conference, like a virtual Zoom conference, where I was talking about MyLoTree Easy Payments, and I actually pitched it to a VC who really liked it. So I was like, ooh, that seemed really cool. So I wanted to, though, come back because I missed everybody. I'm just launching my phone. And I wanted to just check in and talk about my most recent podcast episode that I really, really liked. It was with a woman named Dara Sklar, and she is a productivity coach. It was funny because I had this vibe like, oh no, like I am pretty organized, as I share in the podcast, but I'm not super organized. I'm like better than most, but it's not like, like my closets are pretty organized, but I do have a junk drawer, for example, and it's like my downloads folder is really filled with just everything. And so it was so funny because when I got on the call with Dara and we were going to start talking about organization, I was really nervous that she was going to be judgy or a little bit like, ooh, Jillian, didn't anticipate that from you. And she was so generous and lovely and was like her main piece of information that I thought was so powerful, so kind of important was, ready? And I wrote it down. Don't worry about your past messes. What? Like her whole thing is you don't need to go clean up the stuff that you've done in the past. You only need to be productive going forward. And that was so good because I think that I have this feeling that, oh my God, in order to deal with everything, I have to go start from 15 years ago and go through all my files and put them places. And she's like, absolutely not. All you need to do is go forward. And that was so relieving. And she was so non-judgy. And I just got off the call, our interview, and I felt really emboldened. So I wanted to share some of the most important salient tips she had. Like one, Gmail and the Google Suite is super powerful and search is super powerful. So all you need to be thinking about is putting keywords, things that make sense to you in your file names. And if you can do that, you can search. And I was like, whoa. And so we were talking about this idea. There are times when, let's say I'm working on something and I need to look for a file that I created. And I'll go, let's say, okay, like, something for MyLoTree Easy Payments. Like let's say like I have a file of our competitors, but I'm not even sure that I do. Like maybe I put it together a long time ago and I start searching and up comes, like in my Google Drive, up comes a document where I started putting together our competitors. And I feel so happy because it's as if my past self was hooking up my present day self. Like when I was doing it in the past, I was thinking, okay, in your future self, in your life, like I'm going to do the work now to hook you up in the future. And it's like such a good feeling. And so I love that idea of I am today going to hook myself up for success in the future just by putting keywords in when I name a document or I download something, just quickly put a keyword in there so that I can search for it and find it. And also that's the same thing with your Google emails. Like I use Gmail and you can just go into search and find emails. And it was like, whoa. So therefore, when you are naming files, for example, be really intentional about making sure they just have keywords in them. And I said, well, what is the way that I'm supposed to name my files? Is it supposed to have a date in it? Should the date be at the front? Should it be at the back? Whatever. And she said, whichever way makes sense for your brain. And I was like, oh my God, okay, that was so freeing. So therefore, I have noticed that since talking to Dara, I've been much more intentional about saving files. And one thing I said, well, my downloads folder is a mess. And she said, you can set it up in your Chrome that when a file is downloaded, you can have it ask you where to put that file. So I turned on that little setting. And now when I'm saving files, because remember, I'm only focused on stuff going forward, then I'm able to put it someplace where I can find it. And I love that. And she also was all about using, what are they called? I guess they're called tags in Gmail. So you don't have folders, but you can tag stuff. And I do that, but not as aggressively as I should, so that I can then sort my emails. Like she was saying, all of my correspondences with podcast guests, I should just put like a label. That's what they're called, label. Just label them podcasts, so that when I'm searching for emails and I have to remember that person's name, all I have to do is just label everything with a label like podcast guests, and then I have everything I need right there. And it was just very kind of, what would I say, reassuring, and made me feel really good. Like I could do this. And the other thing she said is be kind to yourself, and that change doesn't happen overnight. You just start slowly implementing these little things, and then you've just got systems. And I think that's very insightful and good and helpful. So let's see. Okay, so here are the things. Don't worry about your past messes. Only think about setting yourself up. Only think about going forward, with like naming strategies and using keywords. You don't have to name your files like everybody else names them. It needs to be the way that works for your brain. Set yourself up for success in the future. Funny, I was helping my daughter. She has to write a paper. She was dreading it, and she has to like come up with evidence. And I said to her, if you do it now, your future self is going to thank you, versus waiting and doing it later. And I think that worked for her, because she was able to go, all right, like I'm just going to kind of pay it forward to myself. And the other thing Dara said is, again, use labels in Gmail. Also, there are some cool settings in Gmail. Like if you send emails, the same kind of emails over and over again, you can create templates. What I've been doing is there's an email I send to say, you've been on my podcast and I want to say thank you. And here's a link to the episode, and here are some files and to share and stuff. And all I do is I go back and find an old version of it and copy it and paste it into a new email. And she's like, well, you could use templates. I'm like, ooh, I didn't know that, because there are certain emails that I send over and over again. And you can find that in your settings. All you have to do, it's really easy. In Chrome, there are 3 dots in the right-hand corner, and like you can get into like your I guess that's not true. In Gmail, there are 3 dots, I think, and you can go into advanced settings and see it right there. But you could always Google it to find out how to set up templates in Gmail. And I'm sure it works in other email systems that you are using, like Yahoo, those kinds of things. Anyway, I thought this was so helpful. And the main part was, it made me feel like I'm not doing it so badly, because I can typically find files. Things don't get super lost. Oh, and this is it. Let's say you do a screenshot, right? And it's like you're just going to use that screenshot one time for reference. You don't have to worry about naming it. If it's something that you think you will use over and over again, then do rename it, but only rename the files that are of value. She said something like 80% of all screenshots or files we never look at more than once. Okay, knowing that, only rename the ones that you feel like, oh, I'll use this again. You don't have to be perfect. I guess that was it. You know that I'm all about B- work. In fact, I just recorded a new podcast episode that is going live. By the way, I want to check to make sure that I am live in my Facebook group. Am I not live in my Facebook group? Babe?
Keep going, I'll tell you.
Okay. Oh no. Oh no. I might have to do this again.
You're in Become a Blogger Genius.
I am?
Yes.
Okay, David says I'm here. Okay, good. Phew. Okay, anyway, what I was going to say is, now I forgot what I was going to say. Oh. I just recorded a new podcast episode, and it is about B- work. It's funny, I just got on a call with a woman who is wanting to set up a paid workshop, and I'm helping her because I'm doing this for Mileage or Easy Payments. And she said to me, I really like your podcast. And I said, thank you. I said, what's your biggest takeaway? And she said, the idea of B- work that really, really spoke to me. And I cannot tell you how many people have said the same thing. So remember, B- work is above average. When I say go do B- work, I'm not saying do crappy work or even do average work. I'm saying do better than average work. Like I'm holding you to a higher standard, but lowering the bar just enough that it's doable, that you can do it. Because building a business on the internet is really about two things. It is about showing up over and over again. It's about putting out that new blog post, posting on social media, creating products, whatever, writing that email, that newsletter. It is about showing up for your audience. And there's no shortcut to that. It's doing the work. And two, it is then about iterating and learning from your people, learning what they like and what they don't like, what lands and what doesn't land, and then continuing to iterate and build off of that, figuring out what works, figuring out a new way to twist that into something that resonates. So it's like you build, you put it out there, you take stock, you get feedback, and then you continue to build consistently. However, if you are a perfectionist, it's too hard. It is too hard to get anything done. Therefore, it is about, like just pushing through and making it work and learning and doing B- work over and over again. So that's what I wanted to pop in and say today. So happy President's Day. I've got something in my eye. Happy President's Day. And I hope that you are feeling here. It feels like we might be turning a corner when it comes to the pandemic, and we are actually going on vacation. We're going to go to Las Vegas because I just have this need to see people. I'll be safe, but I just am ready to get out there and, I don't know, just be part of the hubbub. Hubbub is a word that I'm liking these days. So if you have any questions or you have ideas for podcast episodes you would like to hear from me, please reach out to me at Jillian@boatloads.com. Also, for this short period of time, because we are fine-tuning MyLoadTree Easy Payments, I am working with people one-on-one to help them set up paid workshops, which I call quick win workshops, and memberships. If you have an idea for one, reach out to me at Jillian@MyLoadTree.com. So I'd love to hear from you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll be popping in again soon. Okay, bye-bye.